This time on the OAM podcast.
That was a complete shaking of my entire life.
Yeah.
And then after I came out of that, my conversations with God were completely different in the way that I moved. And I saw that my obedience was rewarded every time.
This is the One Accord Ministry podcast. May they all be one in us. What is dividing the body of Christ?
Republicans, Democrats,
black, white.
division. Your party should be Christ.
I can't be doing my own thing. You can't be doing your own thing.
My friend.
As the body of Christ, we need to operate in one accord in order to sound off like a symphony. And we're back here at One Accord Ministry for another great podcast, another great discussion, another great topic. You all will love this one. We got a special guest. But before we get to our special guest, to my left, I got the greatest producer on this side of heaven. He over here twisting his water bottle that he can't get open. How you doing, Tyrick?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad that you brought that out. Now Calvary grabs it. And I had it. I was going to get to it.
Hey, you weakened it for me.
So you weak, Tyrick? What you?
No, man.
Yeah.
My hand's slippery.
Oh, okay.
It's all that fried chicken we ate. Yeah.
Yeah, we did tear up some golden chick though. So would you think? Do you think golden chicken tenders are better than Chick-fil-A chicken tenders? Not the sandwich, but the tenders.
It's different.
I don't think golden chick tenders are fully cooked.
How many you ate?
About 4 or 5 of them, but they still weren't fully cooked. When I say fully cooked, I mean you bite into it, it's hot, and you got to step out your mouth. And it's smoking, and it's it's
Maybe
like,
they just went out the grease.
it's kind of like room temperature.
But they make so many of them. That's why.
It was cold outside too.
Yeah. And to my right, I got the greatest engineer on this side of heaven. We got Calvary Zinda. What you say, Calvary?
How's it going, man?
Going good, man. How did you enjoy? But me and Calvary did something different than Tyrick with our attendance. We got this, what's the name of that sauce? Lotta Zing. If you ain't never went to Golden Chicken and got the Lotta Zing sauce, the seasoning, you missing out.
Like a spice.
Ooh.
I think I got a little too much.
Calvary almost died.
That's for them, Southern country boys. And when you're from the Bronx like me, you don't eat that stuff. So
Whatever. So you from the Bronx?
yes, BX.
All right. Well, we're happy that y'all joined with us today. We're having fun in here. It's tonight for us whenever you listen to it. We're happy that you joined with us. If you want to check us out on our website, you can go to oneaccordministry.net. That's oneaccordministry.net. You can send in topics, suggestions, or concerns. Or you be like, why y'all said that? Go ahead and send that to us at comment@oampodcast.org. That's comment@oampodcast.org. If you feel led to donate to the ministry to help us to continue and to expand and do more great things in America and across the globe, there's a donate tab on the website. You can listen to podcasts there, or you can go on many podcast platforms. So today we're going to get into singlehood. How many of y'all used to watch that show coming up? But we're going to get into singlehood today, and we have a guest. We got a professional single. She's just not a single. She is a professional single.
And she just threw her hair back, by the way.
That's confirmation that she's a professional single. We have Jacque. How you doing tonight, Jacque?
I am great, and I am ready.
She's ready. So what makes you a professional single?
I have done everything you could do wrong in this singleness. And now I don't know. What makes me professional is because I've been single for so long. So in this day and age, being single is not easy. So I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Being single is not easy. And we're going to jump this thing off. But no, we're just going to get a little juicy, y'all. So I'm going to just let y'all know early, because we was talking about an hour before we started. So
It's an understatement.
It could get a little juicy. So our first question we're going to throw out to you, Jacque. Do you find it difficult to be single and satisfied?
Yes. And why is because of social media. Social media makes that spirit of comparison jump on you. And it's just bad. Like it's hard to get away from social media. So it just makes it hard because you see everybody having babies, getting married, and not necessarily in any specific order, but if you are stagnant in your progression in life, like you've got a house, you've got all this stuff, and then you have not elevated to the next level, it makes you think, now what am I waiting? I should be at the next stage. So I don't know. It's hard. So social media makes it hard. If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me why I'm single, and then when I said yes, and they said, well, what's wrong with you? And the expectations that people put on me.
People actually say that?
Yeah. So what's wrong with you? You don't have a man. Nobody wants you. Because I'm single, it means nobody wants me. Yeah. That's a thing.
So it's almost like the culture is saying that
if you're not in a relationship, then something's wrong with you.
And what about, so is that true in the church world too?
Absolutely. I think, and I don't think people are doing it on purpose. I think that people want your life to progress in a societal way. Like as soon as somebody gets married, the first thing they say to a couple is, when are you going to have kids? And, I personally just learned that it's really not appropriate to even ask those questions because, people have problems having kids, and people, not everybody wants kids. We're putting our expectations on other people. And that's where the problems start.
Yeah, and that's true. So it almost seems like, people think that marriage is the end goal for everyone.
Absolutely.
Like it's no such thing as you can be called to be, what the Bible would say, a eunuch. You can just be called to be single for life. So people just view it as, if you're not married, then obviously something is wrong. You're not walking with God. You're not you're not being as spiritual as you should be in life.
Right. And then if you want to put you single and you're not having sex on top of it, then it's like, wait, what? You can't do that. Like, you can't really maintain that. So that's a whole nother thing. Right.
Since you brought that up, so how would you encourage someone? Because I'm sure that's probably the biggest temptation when you're single, having sex. How would you encourage someone that's single and they're trying to avoid that? They're trying to resist that temptation.
Well, I just think it's putting yourself in the right situations. Like, I have plenty of accountability partners. Your wife would be one of them. And so you just make sure that if you're on a date, your friends know where you are. And if you need it out, your friends know, and it not having too much alone time. Too much alone time is not always good.
Is that more of security from a safe perspective, or is that more of accountability that just to make sure I don't make the wrong decisions in this date?
Absolutely. I mean, it's both.
Well, I know most of the time, I know in the culture, it's really more of the former. It's really more of this is who I'm with, just let you know. And not too many people are doing it because they want to be held accountable while on the date, not to make the wrong decision of the day. It's more when I hear about it, it's more security than anything else.
Yes, but the way I'm doing, I can only speak for myself. Right. I'm doing it because I need accountability in the way I move, because I want to do this the right way.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, that's good for, even married people. You need accountability partners, because you don't want to be in the wrong situations, wrong people, being alone with certain people. So, accountability and some of these things that we speak about, we speak about it as being a single, but this mindset in this Christian life, it's the same mindset that a married person should have also. And also the single should have a mindset of more contentment. And that's what we're going to get to, because as you were just speaking, Jacque, it's hard to be content, especially when the world is telling you that you shouldn't be content because you haven't graduated to what you should be at. It's almost like they're being God in your life. They're saying you should be here, and since you're not there, you shouldn't be content.
Right.
And it leads to a lot of people feeling like they're missing something. So how does one find contentment in their singleness?
The way I do it is I serve. And if I'm serving others, I'm not thinking about myself.
Yeah.
So in my service, I do children's ministry, and I'm starting to do Generate, and that has been huge for me. And then I'm actually serving within my friend group. Like, I have friends that call me with their relationship problems, which, I know that doesn't sound right to married people, but my married friends call me for relationship advice. And I believe in marriage and all the things that come with it. Not that they share everything with me, but like just somebody to confide in, to give them what I would consider good advice as far as fighting for things,
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I don't think it's wrong for a married person to get advice from a single person, because as long as if it's a biblical
Right.
advice,
Right.
and then too, you're a woman too. So it's not like because she's married, she's no longer the same woman that you're a woman. She's still that same woman.
Yeah.
She's just married, and you guys sometimes got the same emotions, the same feelings, and everything like that. So, and then by you being friends,
and then me not actually being in the relationship, it helps me to see it from an objective.
right?
Right.
But but you're using your biblical wisdom,
Yeah.
versus. Out there
Telling
in society,
Right.
normally a girl will say, "Girl, I wouldn't do that if I was you."
Right.
They give bad advice because they're going from their opinions, they're going off of feelings, emotions, they're going off of unforgiveness, they're going off of pride. But you're doing the opposite,
Right.
So they're coming to you. They're believers too, right? So they're coming to you because they're thinking about believer to believer,
Right.
first. So I don't think
Yeah.
I think that's great.
A lot of people don't agree with that. And I've heard that so many times. You really shouldn't talk to your single friends about your husbands and stuff. And I'm like, granted, there are things that I should not know. But in a general perspective, like it's okay as long as my friends can trust me with that.
Right.
Right. Right. Yeah, I watched I forgot the guy's name, but he made a YouTube clip. He's a single guy, girl that overcame homosexuality, and now she speaks.
Jackie Hill, period.
Jackie Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was speaking about he would go by their house and kind of kick it with them and stuff, and they would bounce stuff off each other. So he was just trying to bridge this gap between married people and single people that. If we all Christians, we don't have to be separate or anything like that.
I
we all
agree.
walking this walk.
Because I personally have not a problem. I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing, but like when marriage conference happens, and I want to be in some of those classes. Now I know I can't be in everything, but I want to like take some of the classes for the married, because that's what I aspire to be, And I hate that has to be a separate thing, singles and married. Because there's so much knowledge that we could get as single people from married people that I don't think that we necessarily get, because sometimes who they have to come speak for singles are singles.
Yeah.
They're just trying to help us get through it. Like, it's something you got to get through. So.
Yeah, that is a problem, because once you get married, then you realize that you need all this experience that you don't have, and you need all this advice that you weren't getting when you were single. So why not get a head start?
Absolutely.
And by that note, we're going to take a quick break and go to the gospel moment with Reverend Greg Holmes.
There's a chasm between God and man. That chasm, that space, that opening is filled with sin. But God is holy, and he made man in his image. But due to Adam's sin in the garden, man fell away from God. And not only Adam, but we all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. See, there's a natural law at work that when you do wrong, you get punished for your wrong. When you commit a crime, you get sentenced by a judge for your crime. In the same manner, there's a spiritual law at work. When you do wrong, when you sin against God, you receive hell. But there's a payment for us doing wrong. God sent his son to die for us, and it was by his grace. See, grace is just getting something that we do not deserve. It's by his grace through faith. It's not from ourselves. It's a gift from God. There's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that you can do that we can make ourselves saved. The only thing that we can do is to admit we are sinners, humble ourselves before God, stop playing God in our own life, and then we will confess with our mouth that Jesus is Lord, and we will believe in our heart that God raised Christ from the dead, and you will be saved.
All right, we're back from the gospel moment. Now let's get back into this single men in the church and where are they? So, Greg, what were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, so hold up. So we saying that single men are not really being involved. Kelvin, you just mentioned that you have what? How many?
46 volunteers on my team, and only one of them is a single male.
One single male.
Well, you have 46 men?
No. 46 volunteers in all. And I was telling you there's like a 3-to-1 ratio of men to women. Or I mean, the other way around, women to men.
Right.
And only one of the men is a single male, as far as I'm aware.
So it's about 18 men. Something like that. Only one is single.
So is the issue now there not being opportunities for single men, or single men just not being involved?
Not being involved. I'm sorry. That's it.
So they're not being involved. So that brings us to the question with the whole spiritual growth of men. First of all, if men are called by God to be leaders, but they're not leading, then that causes for a woman to then
assume that role.
Right.
And then we're out of whack. And that's why we're where we are. No, seriously.
I think that you have single, like you said before, you have single men in the church, but you don't know where they are because they're not serving. Mm-hmm. So you only gonna know people in the church because they're serving.
Serious men gonna serve.
That's what I'm saying. No, I said single men. I didn't say
right,
serious
you know
single men gonna serve.
You know what I'm finding now is they'll serve, but they not necessarily in church. So they might be serving at their like league football team, because if they have a child, they'll do like, you know, weekends with the football team or, you know, a sporting thing, but it's not necessarily in the church. But you see women though.
Right.
I'm just saying the standard that we have for women and the standard we have for men is different.
Now we have a high standard for men. They just not dunking the ball.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But so going to the bigger point now, because you're a single woman and we're talking about these men not doing it. And a lot of women like you are looking, I ain't gonna say looking because you don't make it seem like you're not content.
Right.
But you desire.
Well, no, let's talk about not being content though. Because there was a point where I was not content. It's because I was looking at everybody else. And when you start looking at everybody else and then you are not content. Like you have to, there's stages of doing that. And then it's a constant practice of asking God to just help me with my desires and make sure my desires look like yours. So, I mean, I went through seasons. Like it was a roller coaster for a long time.
Yeah.
I honestly think that I wasn't truly content until this past year. And that's a long time to be not content. Like, be like, you know, I had a couple of good months and now I'm like, I want to be married. I want to have kids. You know, like it wasn't a solid year. Like now I'm walking in it.
Is it what would you attribute that to like your walk in Christ and your study? Because I know some people that are in that state that you were in will come out of it either being promiscuous, married to somebody that they weren't supposed to be married to.
Yeah.
Having kids out of wedlock, or even depression. Absolutely.
So I heard somebody say, I think this is what happened. I don't know if it was Pastor Evans, but somebody said, anything that you get outside of God's will, you got to maintain it. And for me, that shook me. I was like, because I see relationships that are hard, and I'm like, I wonder, I can't say if God's in it or not, but I'm just saying, like, I see the difficulty and I'm like, if they're not both looking up, then that's hard. So I don't want to put myself in nothing that God is not saying, okay. So now I'm like, God, remove anybody that's not for me. That's how that's how I'm walking. Like, because I used to say that, well, I didn't really want to pray that prayer because he used to remove people. And I'm like, no, not that one. I want to keep that one. But now I want to make sure that I have the right one. So I'm praying that prayer every other week just to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with who I'm supposed to be doing this life thing with.
So what's making single women settle? Like a lot of single women, they just settle for, like they settle for the man that just...
Being alone and it's different than being lonely. When lonely comes and you are not prepared to be by yourself, that makes you make bad decisions. Sitting in loneliness. Mm-hmm. So that has to be the biggest thing, not wanting to be by yourself. Companionship. Because I was talking to one of my friends and I'm like, sometimes I feel codependent because I have so many friends. And she's like, I don't understand why we don't think we need people. We do need people. Now, depending on people for everything is wrong, but having people is not wrong. Mm-hmm. So like, we want people. And then, you know, when our friends go off and get married and have kids and stuff, it's like, oh, we have less of those people. So we wanted our situation for ourselves. So that's, you know, it makes you like, could I have been married by now? Yeah. To the wrong one. You know, like, it's not like I could not have been married. It's just like, it didn't work out. Thank God it didn't work out. But, you know, like, just being by yourself sucks.
Yes. And how did you replace that? Like, how do you not get lonely being by yourself? Like, how is that? Because some people might think that's not even possible. Like, I got to have someone because it's no way for me to be alone and not feel lonely. Like, how do you...
I stay busy. I really do. Like, I don't like to be still. Mm-hmm. And my job doesn't... Me being a flight attendant helps me move, like... But at the same time, I enjoy my own company. When I was not content, I didn't enjoy my own company. I didn't like being at home by myself. So I would be out at the club, you know, like I just didn't like that. But now and it comes with maturity and just, there's a lot of things that are attached to that. But not wanting to make the wrong decision. But, you know, also that's paralyzing because now that I'm content, I found myself walking in contentment. Then I stopped. I didn't want to make any decision for a fear that I wouldn't be in God's will. That it could go too far another way, where I'm not open to any type of people coming toward me. You know.
Yeah. And you talked about, you know, your relationship with Christ really being the thing that kind of helped you out. Mm-hmm. And that could be maybe sound foreign to some women or to some men that's single. And it's like, you know, I don't see where that will fix my strong desire to have a mate. I don't see that. So when you were in that stage of uncontentment, did you see an opening down a tunnel that just the relationship with Christ would change your whole mind about it?
Yeah, I think it started too when I started denying my body. Like you take sex out of it and you start seeing things for what it really is. And so you start walking in down that avenue, and then you're operating in clarity. That opens up so much. For me, it did. Yeah. So that's where it started for me.
So let's talk about that, because as a single, you know, we got to talk about the real stuff, sex, because sex it brings an emotional state towards people that would never be there.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for the sex. Yeah. So you say you started denying your body.
Right.
So I assume that, you know, your growing in Christ gave you the strength to do that.
Yeah.
So, and what did that look like for you? What did your growth in Christ look like? Like what things did you start doing, or things you stopped doing, or?
Going out. I don't go out like I used to. Like, it started out not going out because, you know how you were talking about how men stopped doing stuff, because I just stopped doing it because I felt like I was an old lady in the club. I did. I mean, I'm not that old, but I felt like I was seeing the same things and doing the same things. I'm like, yeah. And then for me, I tore my Achilles and I was at home. I was off work for 3 months, and that means I can't do what occupies my brain. So I was sitting at home in the bed for 3 months, and that totally got a hold of me. I think that's been about 5 years now. And that was a complete shaking of my entire life.
Yeah.
And then after I came out of that, my conversations with God were completely different in the way that I moved. And I saw that my obedience was rewarded every time. And that's the thing that I think that is hard for people, because if you're not being rewarded, not that God, this is probably gonna come out wrong, but if you don't see a reward, sometimes it can be a detriment to your faith. Because I realized that God was giving me little kisses on my cheek to say, you are right where I want you to be. But sometimes for me, they were just small little kisses. But other people need more. And so I think that's what has people falling off, because, oh man, this is just too hard, Yeah. So it is a struggle to like deny yourself. Like it is.
Yeah.
But I attach my obedience in this stage of my life with getting the full desires of my heart. That's what I'm attaching it to. So that's how I'm able to move through all of this.
Yeah. So if you had to speak directly to a single man, or just men in general, I guess. But looking at single men, since we're talking about a lot of single men, but a lot of things what we're talking about, it can probably go for a lot of married men too. It's just disguised under the umbrella of marriage. But so the single man, what would you tell the man that, hey, this is what you need to be. This is what you should be to be able to date a good, godly Christian woman?
I think, what would I tell a man? You don't have to have it all figured out. Like being a provider, protector, all the things that women want doesn't have to be wrapped up in this perfect box. But we just want to know that you are facing Christ. That's it. If you're facing, we're following. If you're not, then we question everything that you do.
And what's that evidence that he's facing Christ?
When I hear you being in prayer about the things that I've been talking to God about, like if I'm talking to God about stuff and I haven't brought it to you and you start talking about it, I'm like, see, he has a relationship with them. That's what has been my experience. Like I'm praying about things that I'm not telling you, and you are actually saying these things. And so that is kind of amazing when God works like that.
So y'all hear that, man? You can't get that from your boy. You got to get that from Jesus.
Absolutely.
You got to get that from Jesus.
But I mean, to somebody that does not have that relationship, that is going to sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's going to sound like that. I mean, well, that's out. She's out. Like somebody thinks like her, she's out. Because I'm trying to figure this. I'm just trying to figure this life thing out. But doing it by yourself, not with God, like it's just it's so much harder. Like not having him to fall back on.
All right.
Hey, can you? So you had some questions and some things to bring up.
Oh no, I was.
Well.
Mine is all about.
I didn't know if you want to bring that in there to the
Mine
conversation.
is all about just y'all pulling on y'all's people.
Y'all people, huh?
Y'all just.
Who are you people?
Your men's peoples. Just be.
So you brought up social media too. So does that play into any of this?
What?
Social media impact, how technology is that making an impact on, negatively impacting the single men? Oh
yeah, because you click on your phone and you can see whatever you want to see.
Right.
Like you don't even have to go to those bad websites. You can see it right on your phone.
Right.
We are inundated with so much information. It's so visually stimulated in our day to day, even commercials.
Yeah.
Even some of the references. I went to go see Frozen 2, and I was like, you know, like some of the stuff is just not.
Right.
It's wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just too much.
Yeah, because we talk about Facebook, Instagram, etc. You know, that could be good. It can be bad. You can be on there spreading the gospel, or you can be on there gossiping, or you can get caught up in, you know, married men get caught up in relationships with other people, and those people can be single. So you got single people getting caught up with marital folks only because of social media.
Absolutely.
So that right there in itself should be talked about as well when it comes to singleness, finding a husband,
Even just dating. It's too. Just because now you don't necessarily have to. Facebook has a dating part now. I just saw that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like you don't even have to get on a dating website. You can just go to the dating thing on the side of Facebook. Yeah, I mean.
So what do you think about internet dating?
No, it ain't for me. I mean,
can you
you're
find
not
a
going
kingdom
to.
Man on Kingdom Godly Man on?
I'm not saying you can't, because you know they got ChristianMingle.com. I can't do it. I told when I turned 35, I was like, well, you know, some of my friends that got married, so I might as well just let me test this thing out. I was on there 3 weeks. No, that ain't it.
And you got a whole bunch of hits, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was like, and it was of no substance. It was just because of what I look like. And I was like, you know, because you put what you would like. I put somebody that didn't have kids and, you know, and it gave me everything that I said I didn't want. And outside of my age range and everything. So, you know, I was like, you know what, that's not for me. Because I do know I have two friends that got married off of there. 2 Christian men. But
well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, people are trying it out.
yeah,
I think the idea, there's nothing wrong with the idea of it. It's the same thing we doing up here at Singles, right? I mean,
True.
you're serving together. You want to commune with like-minded people.
absolutely.
And in the midst of that, something may come out of it, some may not. But you're at least putting yourself in a situation where I'm at least around like-minded other genders. And then whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. So it could be like that on ChristianMingle.com, but
It would just be harder for
it's harder from internet versus face to face.
because I know people that I actually know that lie on the internet, that lie on their Instagram, their Facebook. So I'm not open to it because my mind wouldn't allow me to be open to that process. So it didn't work for me. But
All right, we about to get ready to light it up a little bit. We got the hot seat question coming up. Yeah, Kelly over there lighting it up. So y'all know our ministry is set on uniting, adding to the kingdom of God by helping people to see and conquer any physical, emotional, or experiential attribute that attempts to block that unification. So, Jacque, what do you see as the main hindrance that keeps the body of Christ from being on one accord?
I see the main hindrance is the bridging of the gap between being open and honest and transparent and looking like a hospital, yet not losing biblical principles inside the church. So there has to be a bridge between that. And I don't think we're doing a good job of bridging that gap. And like people feeling comfortable coming into the church with all their stuff. They feel like they have to look a certain way, dress a certain way, and be a certain way before they show up. You know how people, they want to lose weight before they go to the gym. I think that people treat the church like that sometimes too. Like, I want to get my life together and then start going to church. Yeah. Instead of going to church and letting the Holy Spirit do that for them. Yeah. So
I think that's pretty good. I think that is an issue. I think that's a big issue. I mean, even I saw a usher at a church. A guy was coming in with a hat on, and she told him, you can't wear that in the sanctuary. It looked like a guest. And it's like, why?
I know.
Like, why?
We have all these things that have nothing to do with what God said. That is not in the Bible. Yeah. But we have made the religion more important and the ritual more important than the relationship. Yeah. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I could definitely agree with that. And also, just on the topic of singles, I mean, I would like to encourage you and other women also to not settle. I mean, if a woman can recognize she needs Christ to make it, if the man hasn't recognized his need for Christ, then he's not ready to carry you with him, because he doesn't have anyone to lean on. So he's going to end up leaning on you. And you're going to end up resenting him for being weak because you saw a hopeful potential in him, but he didn't even recognize it from the get-go, his need for Christ. So, I mean, it's one thing to see a guy that's talking about Christ and mentioning Christ. And I'm telling you, because I was that guy.
Right.
I was that guy. You know, I seemed like a good guy. You know, I really appeared that way. And I wasn't abusive. I wasn't going to curse you out. I was respectful. But I wasn't ready to lead you into Christ's world. I was just going to lead you into my world. And my world was going to be a detriment to you in the long run. Yeah. So keep striving. Keep going. And thank you, Jacque, for coming on.
Yeah, I just want to say, ladies, be in community.
Be in community.
Men too.
Yeah, but we do. We do need to.
Yeah.
Do men want to be in community, y'all? Do we try to be long rangers?
The kingdom man, the kingdom man do.
The kingdom men do.
But how do you make kingdom men?
Read the book. Resource. Read Kingdom Man book.
if they didn't have a book.
I mean, everything starts with Christ. I mean, you can't get around that. True. And you know, when you try to find how's that look, it means that, you know, like you said earlier, deny yourself, submit yourself to Christ. And like that, my shirt says Christ over culture, right? No matter what the culture says, you want to, you know, Christ is over everything. So if it doesn't agree, choose Christ's side.
Yeah.
I think kingdom men are helped to be made when they see an example. Yeah. So, you know, men can't keep making an excuse that I'm not it, but you got a generation behind you that won't be it either because you're not being it. And I know one thing that helped me, you know, my dad wasn't a kingdom man growing up, but he became one as an adult. And he sent me a book. And from the first time, someone that I really respected in life as a man, not that I didn't know other men, I heard men preach sermons, but my dad sent me a book telling me it's time to get serious about Christ. And when he did that, that changed my whole perspective, because now I saw someone that used to be a certain way, and I saw what Christ could do in his life. So if men are not seeing the example, and, you know, there's no such thing as you're too young, you know, 25, I mean, Jesus was in a temple at 12 years old, you know, trying to get away from his parents, trying to learn. So 25, I mean, that's a perfect age to show your need for Christ, especially when people dying at 18, 19, 20. So I think men, they need examples. And if you don't have an example, you got to get to a local body, a local church. Get to a local church and then get involved. No such thing as because you're a single, no one wants you around. Just get involved. We do a men's Bible study every other Saturday, and we get single men that come. You know, single men come, and they just come because they want Christ. If you want Christ, you got to show up. You know, because as Jacque said, these women that's about Christ, they ain't playing with you. They ain't going to just believe you because you just saying something, and don't fake it either, because you see, if you ain't repeating her prayers, you better go ahead on.
That part.
You can't fake it.
That part.
It's real life right there.
So hopefully we helped y'all. Encourage y'all, all the single women, even the single men, that you can be single and satisfied.
Single and satisfied.
As the saying goes, you can be content. You can even, listen to this, you can even not have sex as a single. Wow.
It is possible. And it is very rewarding.
That's going to be our part 2 episode.
Yeah, it's rewarding.
Yeah. So hopefully you learned something, you gained something, as we all did. And we'll see you next week on the One Accord Ministry Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the One Accord Ministry Podcast. Remember to subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a positive rating. Visit our website at oneaccordministry.net. And if you'd like to contribute to the discussion with topics or questions, email us at comment@oampodcast.org. But the best thing you can do is pray that the Lord would use this ministry for the advancement of His kingdom and His glory. Until next time, be one in Christ.